Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Fantasy Sports Review. I'm Phil Hargis. It's good to see everybody again. We've just wrapped up the third week of the NFL season. It's hard to believe we're almost reaching the quarter point of the NFL season here through week 4. Last week was kind of one of those weird weeks where there was several what some of the experts would deem as upsets, and there was a lot of close games. The Bears, you saw last Monday night, they beat the Green Bay Packers in a game that a lot of people expected the Packers to win. We called it here on the show that we thought the Bears would win. That was one of our better calls last weekend. The Falcons beat the New Orleans Saints in that thriller in overtime there. The Saints, the defending Super Bowl champions, got their first loss of the year. And in a very shocking upset here close to home, the Washington Redskins go on the road and lose just like an unbelievable game to the St. Louis Rams. I mean, Washington Redskins, how do you let that happen to yourselves? You just take the Houston Texans to overtime, and you beat the Dallas Cowboys, and you lose to St. Louis? What's wrong with you? So then a couple other big-name teams like the New England Patriots, they struggle against Buffalo, and Baltimore kind of struggle to beat Cleveland. So those were some of the highlights from last weekend, but I know that there was a lot of other games that we'd like to get to here, but let me first welcome Robbie Castro back to you. Robbie Castro, a.k.a. we're calling you Shine Boy today. Welcome to the show, man. How you doing today, buddy?
I appreciate it, Phil.
You are glowing for some reason. Why are you glowing tonight, man?
I think it's because I made some great picks on last week's show. So
you did, man. You're always making good picks.
I know. That's what I'm here for, Phil. That's what I'm here for.
Right.
So. Yeah, there's a lot of great matches. We'll definitely break it down in a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, one of the games that we kind of talked about last week, where I'll take a little bit of props here, is Pittsburgh came in there and walloped Tampa Bay down there in Tampa Bay. I know you were a big fan of Tampa Bay in that show.
Yeah, you're right. And a lot of the offensive performers for Tampa Bay did not fare as well as I'd hoped for. So I think that was the one game that I missed. But the Pittsburgh Steelers are rolling right now without Ben Roethlisberger. Do they bring him back? I mean, do they disrupt that offense and bring back Roethlisberger?
Just think about how much more potent that offense can be. I mean, Mendenhall's been doing great. He's been carrying his load. As one of those guys we weren't really sure about coming into the season. Most of the experts thought would be good. We were just not quite there with him yet, but he's been pretty good. But you got a couple quarterbacks here. I'm sure you're willing to talk about what happened last week.
Well, there's a lot of great quarterbacks, but the one that I want to focus on is Michael Vick of the Philadelphia Eagles, who's now, I guess they're calling it Vickadelphia. They actually changed the city name, which is kind of impressive.
Did they change their logo to some sort of dog?
I think they did too. I think they did too. But this guy who has gone from like villain to hero in what, 3 weeks? I mean,
what have you done for me lately in the NFL?
Oh yeah, no, it definitely shows because he threw for 290 yards, very accurate through the air, looks very poised. A lot of the qualities that I saw in him in Atlanta, he's sort of brought it over to Philadelphia, and it's been amplified. So, and I knew that he was going to have a great game. I said that on the show last week. I told our viewers that you desperately need to start this guy. I don't care if you have Drew Brees as your starting quarterback. Michael Vick will get it done through the air and on the ground as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great matchup for him, and we all know that. Vic said something that really hit hard with me, and I'm not going to make a joke here and be very serious. Like Vic said when he was away from the game for all this time, that he really had a chance to think about the game, to go through the motions mentally. I kind of liken it to my golf game, Robbie. Like during the winter time when you're not playing any golf, you're kind of thinking about your golf swing, you're thinking about some of the golf courses you played and some of the shots that you can hit, and you actually come back after a long layoff like that, and you can actually play better golf, in Michael Vick's case, football. And it actually does, when you have a chance to mentally seduce yourself like that with football,
right.
It can make you a better player. So that makes a lot of sense to me, and that could be the reason why we've seen a lot of Michael Vick's success. I don't think there's a guy out there that would not want to have Michael Vick as their starting quarterback on their team right now.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
So let's just burn through the quarterbacks. I mean, it's a lot of the top guys, and maybe the biggest surprise there is Mark Sanchez or Matt Castle down there at the bottom. The running backs, Robbie, let's burn through the running backs really quick. We talked about this one on the show last week. What did we say about Peyton Hillis?
You said that he was going to have a great game, and he did, especially against the Baltimore Ravens, who they don't give up many 100-yard rushers. So for this guy to step in for Jerome Harrison, you said it. I really didn't think he was going to have much success. So, again, I was wrong on that one. But, Phil, you're right. You said Peyton Hillis was going to have a big day, and I hope that everyone listened to Phil because he gave some great advice. And you know what? If I had him on my team and I didn't start him, I would have felt really horrible. And I probably would have won my 2 games, but I won my 2 games.
It's just one of those guys. If you picked him up, you probably didn't even start him last week against the Ravens, but just because you wouldn't have that confidence to do so. If I had him on my team, I would hope I had better starting running backs than to have to start Peyton Hillis. But, I said it before, just like I said with Vic, when you have a chance to make your first NFL start and really make a reputation for yourself on a team, especially against a really tough defense like that, like the Baltimore Ravens, then you can really excel and do things that are above and beyond your regular capabilities as a running back. I think Peyton Hillis, he looks like such a strong runner that I really can't imagine that he could be tackled at all.
You're
he's
absolutely
physical.
right.
He's such a physically gifted runner.
Yeah, you're
It'll be
right.
great
You're
for
right.
Cleveland.
I think that you look at him, and I think you might have to start him now because of his success against the Baltimore Ravens. And this week they play the Bengals, and I think you insert him in your starting lineup. I don't see why not.
If he can do that against the Ravens,
otherwise, I don't understand why this guy. This guy should definitely take a flyer on him. Definitely, if you don't have any depth at running back, trade for this guy because I think he's going to be a lot of touches inside the 20 because they don't have a quarterback in Cleveland.
And for that matter, if you have him, trade him. Because maybe he won't do anything else for the rest of the season. Maybe he's blown his wad and had a big
His
game.
value is sky high right now, though.
Yeah, it's either or. If you need him, go after him and maybe try to pay a small price. Say he was a one-game wonder or something. Play it to your advantage, whatever side of the coin you need to use. And Darren McFadden on this list again. We'll see if that trend continue. I think that the Oakland Raiders have some tough matchups coming up, and it looks like that Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis will be the guy there in New England.
Sounds like it.
For the time being, and he's going to certainly get a lot of all the opportunities there as the running back by committee mess that they have there in New England continues. Wide receivers.
One thing that jumps out at me is two guys, actually. Anquan Bolden having 3 touchdowns because Joe Flacco had a resurgent game, followed up his terrible performance with a great game against the Cleveland Browns. But then you have a guy.
Almost had 4.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And then you have a guy, Austin Collie, who catches 11 balls and 2 touchdowns for Peyton Manning. I didn't see this coming because I saw this guy available in the 13th, 14th, 15th round, and I kept burning through my draft picks, and I was wondering, maybe why this guy wasn't being drafted at all, and he wasn't really in the magazines that often. And I was thinking to myself, he had a great season last year. Let's not take anything away. A guy that was undrafted comes in, catches 6 balls last year for touchdowns. Again, now he's starting to do it and performing on a week-to-week basis.
Well, do not forget though that they also had the Anthony Gonzalez. Then they also had your boy Pierre Garcon. Pierre Garcon was there too.
That's true. But another guy. Now this one guy I want to talk to you about is Brandon Marshall. He's formed a great duo right now with Chad Henne. Took him a few games to get off a little bit, but Brandon Marshall definitely with 10 catches for a buck 66 and 1 touchdown against the New York Jets. He's a guy that's now coming around. I heard a lot of guys talking about trading him 2 weeks ago. I don't know why you would trade him because he does start off pretty slow in a lot of fantasy leagues, especially last season he did. But he's staying true to form and is staying true to his all-pro self.
And the one last thing I'd like to say about the tight ends here, but let's just quickly move on to them, is this is a perfect example. If you look at the top 12 tight ends for last week for total fantasy points, 11 of them had touchdowns. It was like the same thing we're telling you all preseason long. You can get a tight end at any point in the draft. You don't need to waste a 4th or 5th round pick on a guy like Vernon Davis or Dallas Clark, who were not even on the top 12 list this past week. You can get a guy like Gronkowski, Mayoki, Ben Watson. The list goes on and on for so long. And then even other guys like Dustin Keller stepping up in a big way this season. But, Robbie, we need to move on to this week's games. And we have Amanda Walker sitting by patiently for us in the news center. So, Amanda, go ahead and take it away with this week's news.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fantasy Sports Review News Center. I'm Amanda Walker with your official NFL news update. After Week 3, we have seen the emergence of Peyton Hillis of the Cleveland Browns. Fantasy Sports Review told you last week Hillis would have a big week, and he did with 180 yards of total offense and a touchdown. Hillis, who filled in for the injured Jerome Harrison, is a must-start in all leagues this week versus Cincinnati. One-year wonder Ray Rice is looking true to form. One of the top picks in this year's draft, Rice, has not found the end zone and is banged up heading into a tough matchup with the Steelers. Willis McGahee will still get many opportunities to vulture some touchdowns away from Rice. But this week, you need to stay tuned to see if Rice will start. Ryan Matthews of the San Diego Chargers is still nursing an ankle injury. Matthews, the top pick of the Chargers in this year's draft, hurt his ankle 2 weeks ago and hasn't played since. Monitor his status because when healthy, he is a must start. And as of right now, he has been working out with the team and should be ready to go. Javid Best of the Lions missed the second half of this week's contest in Minnesota. Best, who has 4 touchdowns, has emerged as a breakout player this year. His toe injury could be considered serious. This injury could be an ongoing thing, so you might want to stash Best away this week, or better yet, try to trade him. He is still a running back on a pretty poor but improving team. With the tough matchup versus Green Bay looming, I do not believe that Best will be in any hurry to return to action. Andre Johnson, arguably the best wide receiver in the league, has a high ankle sprain. This injury is very tricky because it is not considered serious, but it could hamper the